Being gay in Jamaica is where you experience bad most of the time rather than good. You have to live a very private life. This is where you face a lot of discrimination. It's like you're restricted from doing certain stuff that you would want to do or pursue. You have to try 15, especially if you live in the inner city community.
It has been a rough. First of all, I was living when I found out that I'm gay. Community came down and I did have to leave the community. Family member don't talk to me, as in cut me out. It was stressful. You don't have a shelter, you don't know where your next meal is gonna come from.
They're gonna use stuff like verbally attack you, saying a lot of derogatory words, calling you names. Some of them even try to come at you physically.
This is the reality that men who have sex with men face each day in Jamaica. The scourge of stigma and discrimination.
The MSM community in Jamaica, they are not a set of persons who are accepted. They face discrimination within the family and outside of the family. They face violence from family members, especially male family members.
We've seen what's a growing issue around displacement and homelessness, particularly amongst youth 16 to 24. A number of MSM and young gay youth are not accessing healthcare because of the stigma around sexuality and gender identity. That does exist and does play out actively amongst the healthcare workers.
There's a major thing when it comes on to employment for either gay men and even for transgenders as well. A lot of our gay men and MSM and transgender, they drop out of school. When they act effeminate, boys trouble them at school, call them all kind of name, abuse them.
Words are powerful, you have feelings, you're human. I tend to be depressed at sometimes. I even cry myself to sleep. I question God, you're the one who made me. Why can't I change now? Suicidal thoughts come to you. And the whole feelings that they feel stressed, they don't even want to go out and road. They don't even want nobody to see you.
To bring public attention to these issues, PANOS Caribbean and World Learning partnered on a project funded by the United States Agency for International Development that uses communication as a tool for change.
Our aim on this project has been to sort of reduce stigma and discrimination in the society and to improve media reporting on the issues affecting MSMs in Jamaica. Understanding that the HIV epidemic as it relates to MSMs in Jamaica has been really significant.
The idea was, how could the PANOS project assess, first of all, the way in which media address these issues and influence the way in which they address them in the future.
We wanted to set the context, to clarify the myths, to ensure that persons understood the epidemic and understood why insensitive reporting could drive the epidemic in a negative way and drive negative attitudes towards persons living with HIV, of which our MSM community have the highest prevalence. We wanted to ensure that the journalists understood the impact they have in setting the correct context as it relates to the epidemic.
Having been exposed to these workshops and then getting to know some of the underlying issues facing this community and how, as a journalist, our work can determine what the end result is. Our work will determine whether or not there's an end to stigma and discrimination. The workshop really helped me to be better able to understand these issues and to look at the bigger picture. Prior to these workshops, I had never encountered somebody who openly identifies as a member of the MSM community. And so through these workshops, I got an opportunity to interface directly with such persons, and then you realize that, you know, these are persons with real issues just like everybody else. These are persons whose issues need to be heard. The series of workshops have helped me to move away from my personal opinion. I have been able to separate whatever my personal opinion is from what I have to do as a journalist.
A major activity under the project was the Vancouver Exchange, which saw journalists and policymakers traveling to Vancouver, Canada to see firsthand their handling of MSM and LGBT communities and their issues.
It gave me an opportunity to see the international picture, how other countries are dealing with the MSM communities, how they're dealing with their legislation having to do with stigma and discrimination, and then taking back that knowledge to see how that could be reflected in the things and the stories that I would write about and how I would treat issues relating to the MSM community.
PANOS and World Learning also collaborated to launch Speaking Out, Voices of Jamaican MSM, a collection of oral testimonies from local MSM.
A lot of the stories that were told are painful stories based upon the things that these persons have been through.
It was something from the community, by the community, that was put in the publication to, enlighten other groups in Jamaica about the issues that gay men, MSM and transgender faces within the country.
The interviews that were conducted for the publication were peer-led, so it was their peers who did the interviews. And so that built up a cadre of peer leaders who could conduct such research. The publication has also been useful for us in terms of supporting our advocacy with policymakers, thought leaders, just being able to share the broad realities that are faced by the community.
I thought that was a very successful publication. In that document, a lot of voices that were confined to a little space got all over the world.
We participated in the International AIDS Conference, in which these testimonies were also highlighted, and the issues that were raised by the men who we interviewed and who participated in our process was brought to that international level.
What they ended up with was a document which made men who have sex with men real people. And I think that really is very impactful, because once you know somebody, it's harder to hate them and mistreat them.
We're also able to utilize that material to bring that as sort of an evidence to stakeholder consultations with some of the major stakeholders, including the Ministry of Youth and Culture, including the health authorities, also with faith-based organizations, so as to address some of the issues that were raised.
It was very good for us to be a part of that project, to sort of reach the vital persons in the society that we wanted to reach.
The project also built the capacity of individuals and groups within the MSM community to engage with media in building awareness of their issues.
I think the most significant outcome of our partnership would have been the training that our members had participated in, the social media advocacy training. Through that, we were able to mobilize resources towards a campaign that saw the archiving of approximately 12 videos related to LGBT issues to a YouTube channel, Jamaican LGBT News. To date, that YouTube channel has accumulated in excess of 400,000 views and generated significant revenue that has gone towards other projects that have benefited other members of the LGBT community. And I think that is a significant gain.
The organization has actually, from that time, moved to creating its own Facebook page. And we've done some involvement with getting other organizations and groups on our page. It has helped the organization to disseminate information to the wider populace about what is happening within MSM community, whether it is within Jamaica, outside of Jamaica. And it has also created or opened linkages for us to educate or pass on information to persons that are part of our organization on how they can use social media to advocate for themselves in whatever area, advocate for their friends.
One of the things that we started was a cyber peer reach by reaching other GNTs through peer education through cyber. So using like the Facebook, the Twitter, all of them, Skype, if we can Skype the person, yes, we use it to send the information and talk to them. And create the linkages to healthcare and the cascade of services that is offered in Jamaica.
After more than 2 years of work, the PANOS World Learning Communication Initiative, funded by the USAID, aimed at reducing stigma and discrimination and promoting MSM health in Jamaica, was able to achieve a measure of success.
I think we were able to make significant impact on various components of the what we set out to do. I think we're at the point where we are ripe for action, and I think this process has been able to facilitate us, to bring us along that spectrum to the point that there are tangible issues that we need to action in order to address some of the concerns that have been raised.